You have to make the cookies, we'll pay you. The only slight problem with these customization things is the high material costs and also scalability. So scaling is hard because you suddenly get an order for 100,000 cookies and you're like, okay, this is expensive. But also you have this kind of real world cost in terms of, in terms of something like a Twitter can just scale by adding more and more users, whereas you need to make more and more cookies, and actually your costs are fairly linear. Exponential growth is virtually impossible because you can't make exponential amounts of cookies. They each have a price. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the really good thing is really, really high barrier to entry once you've got the cookie making going.
Right.
So I think it's actually maybe the most solid business plan we've heard so far. People pay for cookies. Social media stuff. Social media stuff is people don't pay for it. They really don't. So then you say, okay, where's the business model here? Cookies. People pay for cookies.
Yeah. And I think
the other point I was going to make is that it can be quite expensive. Like if you wanted to customize an entire cookie. So I was originally, a couple of years ago, I was working on a concept that we were doing, and they're just launching now, which is make your own anything, essentially. Where you have these printers now. Is this the speaker? You have these printers now where you can virtually, print anything out of plastic. It'll print it up in layers. It'll do it in 3D. Print your own Second Life character. Rapid prototyping, exactly. Print a character out of World of Warcraft, and they're only just coming to the fore now because it's so expensive to make things in real life. So you may end up wanting to make a really fancy cookie, but then you suddenly realize that this cookie's going to cost me $15, and you say, screw that, So this is the reason that the pricing has been quite high for things like Cafe Press up until now. When it's like $15, it's sure. So you might want to focus on a few key customization kind of things, not be like, hey, make your own shape, but just focus on, one or two things, like M&M's, classic example they're doing now, put your face on M&M's, have you seen that? Which is really simple, really sells, and it keeps the price down. So, did you want to add something?
Sure. Well, so first off, mass customization is where it's all going, right? Because Nike with custom shoes, so on and so forth. So it's a very solid idea. It's a really solid space. Cookies have a super high markup on them, right? Like a lot of baked goods and things. So that's really great. I don't think the scale problem comes in manufacturing the cookies. I think the scale problem comes in time, right? You can just keep manufacturing cookies, but you might not be able to give me the 100,000 in the time I want them, right? So you're going to have to come up with some system, maybe start off with only 3 or 5 basic shapes, and build some kind of system model that says, we know these are going to be the most popular, and these are the most popular colors and stuff, so that even though you appear to have a lot of combinations, you really don't. You can kind of size it down, and then you can go from there, right?
And I would say that with a higher barrier to entry, because you've got a solid business plan, I think you could pretty easily get funding for this because it's such a unique idea. Probably work with local bakeries and stuff to get some of it kicked off for you.
Yeah, I think this, as in terms of a business plan, in terms of being a real business, this is maybe the most solid idea. I would say definitely don't get too crazy to start with. Just make sure you have a few ways to customize. But I think the key thing is finding the partnership with whoever's going to make the cookies. You're not going to be baking these in your back room. You're going to have to find a supplier somewhere. And if you got that locked down, I think it could really work. And you do the social media part. You do viral apps, share your cookies, share Twitter about them. All this, because that's the thing about mass customization and personalization is that your customers are then incentivized to go and share the things they've created because they have ownership then. So I say, I've created my ninja cookie or my pirate cookie, and then I go and share it with all my friends.
That's right. Well, and so to solve your scalability problem, right? Maybe an FTD model, right? So there's tons of bakers out there. Maybe they do a franchise. You send them the materials to make these few limited custom cookies, and you're really farming these things out. So you can make money off the franchise up the front. And then on the back end, you've solved part of the scalability problem because you have someone in Austin and New York and here and there. And then maybe you can chain those together as you need, mass order, right? So bake them here, ship them there. That kind of stuff's done all the time with those goods anyway.
So high barriers to entry, less competitors.
It's feasible, very feasible.
Real business model.
Yeah.
Seems solid.
Very solid.
Good stuff.
Lovecookies.com. Okay, judges deliberate. I need a decision in 2 minutes, and then we need to get Worley and Gio up here to present.
They didn't like a TV model, right?
No.
easily. This is what we discussed last week. Someone came up with lesbian real estate, someone came up with like dental condoms. And it's like, oh, this is great, and then you think about it for a few seconds, you just say, no, that's just a catchy idea for 5 minutes, and then it doesn't work. It's like the cookies one's much better.
Absolutely.
For sure. There's zero doubt. I mean, I'm right with you.
So the piratey guys should do is do a lolcats for pirate.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're number 2 because that's a real. They got a catchy slogan. So look,
With something the press would go crazy about, it would be like pirates.
The reason there's such a big section on time management is because nobody can get that done right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a market that hasn't been solved. It's a problem that hasn't been solved, right? So I think you got cookies one.
Well, GTD is boring.
Pirates too. The what?
GTD is boring.
Right. So I think you got cookies. My vote would be cookies, pirates, and ninjas. That would be my 3.
Yeah.
Are we only doing 3?
Yeah, we can just do one actually.
Look, the beer ideas are fun because
The beer ideas are so generic. They were like, oh, let's just skip.
skip.
But also they're too obvious. They're too many competitors.
So just pick one.
that one.
Hey
Yeah,
guys,
beer one's right.
just picking a winner.
You're right. The genuine unicorn is that it's not genuine, so that's fine.
I know he's busy talking.
So
Not
I'd say
listening.
One for me is just a jokey idea. It's hilarious to start with.
How do you date them?
I'm not gay.
that would be mine. That would be mine. What name your top 3?
Well, we're only picking one.
No, we are. Are we picking 3? You just
We're
said
picking
3
one.
when I asked.
You wouldn't listen to us.
And I said, only one gets an award, so you might as well just go.
Pick one.
Okay,
And then say everybody else is number 2.
then
You're
it's
all
the
winners.
cookies.
Go to the
Oh, yeah, it's gotta be.
It's a real business. It's a real business using social media, not a business created out of social media, right? There's a huge.
No, I love the Cafe Press model. And it's amazing.
Okay, so just as a reminder, the winning team gets free passes to tonight's Mashable party and t-shirts
Zazzle's taking over from.
and underwear.
Panties!
Apparently that's absolutely true.
Parties and panties!
Price now too.
You know underwear.
Start customizing. You very quickly get to
Nice.
price. If it costs me $40 a Cafe
true.
Press, 20 here.
The Cafe Press is a huge markup. You get them shirts. Try and get,
They're gonna have to cut into that to stay.
because you can get teas like from, mass supplies. If you order like thousands, you can get them for $2. And then what are you paying Cafe Press? Like $15 a shirt.
Oh, really?
So
Right, 'cause that's what
But it's customized.
All right.
All right, we're
Are
done.
the people that I admire most in the world working with
You say that every city she's in.
she says that to everyone.
Believe me,
Sometimes she
we
says it,
know.
and I overhear her saying it to someone else.
Believe me, we know.
That's not true. That's not true. That is not true. Do you know how excited I am?
absolutely
It's not
true. I'm
true.
gonna have to agree with you.
It's totally
Okay,
not true.
but is anyone in this room not Erica's favorite?
Should we have it? Should we have a Ninja Pirate standoff just for fun?
We don't have time. We don't have time.
Really? So, do we announce our winner?
Yes.
Do we have a drum roll?
Sure.
Yeah, our winner is the cookie idea. Love cookies because ultimately, social media has such a low barrier to entry now. So everyone comes up with, for instance, beer ideas. Go and share your beers. How many beer sites are there going to be with that idea? Hundreds.
Right.
How many people are going to come up with,
Green of the market.
Well, I think the green one is great. We were talking a lot about the green idea. We think that's really solid and simple and easy to execute on. And what was the other one we liked?
We are pro-pirate.
Oh, we're pro-pirate, yes.
Yes.
We're gonna pirate
You
their
can't tell one of the judges eats a lot of cookies.
Yeah, we also thought that mass customization, huge trend. Personalization, it makes your customers essentially your marketers because they're passing around their own cookies. You could have other companies signing up. Even the pirate company, you're saying making pirate cookies to promote their brand. It's perfect, and because it has this real-world element, that's kind of your core, and it's protected from competition because in order to compete, I would have to go out and find my own cookie-making company, my own distributors, and I just can't be bothered, really. So I think it's a really solid idea.
So fantastic. Congratulations to lovecookies.com. Give them a good round of applause. And it is time to bring Whirly and Gio up to tell us something.
We're going to take a bio break for 5 minutes.
Okay, hurry, because we're running out of time.
You know they have